No, not yet. Okay, 1 second. There we go. This is an official welcome to Coffee with the Principal with Dr. Maribel Gavin. Dr. Gavin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Cuellar Martinez. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Coffee with the Principal. I'm always very happy to see our great parent attendance, and I know more will be joining us as we progress through the meeting. But as usual, I always like to start our meeting with a little icebreaker question. And I know that there will be other questions you may ask or think of throughout the meeting. We'll hold those till the end. There'll be an opportunity at the end of the meeting for you to ask a question either out loud during the meeting, or you could always put it in the chat box. And I will address all of those questions at the end of the meeting. So for now, what I'd like you to do is you can see the question on the screen here. And today's question, or this month's question, is what is the best or worst holiday present you have ever received? The question is, what is the best or worst holiday gift or present you have ever received? So it could be the best or the worst, anytime in your life. So go ahead and think about that, put it in the chat box, and I'm interested to see your responses. I already put my response in the chat box. Oh, that would be sweet, a doll playhouse. Any other answers? You put it in the chat box, or you could even unmute yourself and say it out loud if you're having trouble putting it in the chat box. What is the best or worst holiday present you have ever received? Ooh, Ms. Cuellar Martinez. I don't think you even had to note that would be the best. That is the best. Engagement ring, that's special. Oh, that's sweet. Ooh, yes, iPhone, that's really cool. Any more best or worst gifts? I don't know if you can guess if I didn't note that mine was the best or the worst. I don't know if you can guess if my fanny pack was the best or worst gift I received. And actually, good guess, Dr. Walter, good guess. So this is my little fanny pack I received a couple of years ago. It has little avocados and limes on it. It's very interesting, but you know what? I kept it because I'm gonna rock it. I'm gonna wear this. And maybe to school. Once we all get back to school, look out for it. I'm gonna wear this to school. I'm gonna wear it at work. Because it has little avocados, limes, has tacos. Who doesn't love tacos? So I think it could originally have been my worst, but maybe it'll turn into the best. I'm gonna wear my fanny pack to work one day. Let's see. Ms. Cuellar Martinez likes it. Denise loves fanny packs. All right. I know, you know what? Maybe it could turn into my best. I mean, it could hold my phone. It could hold other things. When I'm walking around campus, especially, I don't have enough hands to carry all the things I have because my outfits usually don't have pockets. All right. Well, you can still put in your best or worst holiday gift in the chat box whenever you'd like. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. 6th grade. Okay. So I'm bringing it back. Okay. I'm bringing back the fanny pack as a fashion statement. So watch out. You may want to dig up your old fanny pack and bring it back. Okay. Thank you all. That was fun. And for participating, again, if you still want to put in your best or worst holiday gift or present that you've ever received in your lifetime, you can go ahead and do that in the chat box. So now we're going to go on with our agenda. We do have some different speakers throughout the agenda today, but our special guest speakers for today are Dr. Nancy Walter and Manuel Martinez. Both are our school psychologists. We have a large special education department and population at Sweetwater High School, the largest in the district. That's why we have 2 full-time psychologists, and we have the best of the best here at Sweetwater High School. So now I will turn it over to Dr. Nancy Walter and Manuel Martinez. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gavin. Eric, are you able to put up the PowerPoint, please? Thank you. So when I was thinking about a topic to talk about today, I think what's on most of our minds a good part of the time is COVID. And I think everything that's going on in the world is very stressful and anxiety provoking. So I wanted to talk about managing stress and anxiety during COVID-19. And I think a lot of times many of us feel like the student in the picture there where our books are piled high and we've tried different things, and so we crinkle up the paper because we don't like it, and it's just very stressful. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and maybe some ways that we can manage it during this time. Next, Eric, please. Okay, so I want to start off with a picture, and for those of you who are on your phones and it's small and you can't see it, it says, "Who says teaching is stressful? I'm 39 and I feel great." Now, and if you look at the picture, the woman in the picture is probably a little older than 39, but it shows what stress can do to us. And I think I could have substituted any word for the word teaching. I could have put, who says parenting is stressful? Who says being a student is stressful? Who says being a worker or being at my job is stressful? And having that same line that follows it, I'm 39 and I feel great. So just something to keep in mind that stress does impact us. Next, please. Okay, so pandemics we know are very stressful. Think about all the things that COVID has brought into our lives. We have fear and anxiety about a new disease that most of us in January had not heard of. A lot of times we feel overwhelmed by what could happen next. We think about, well, what if I get it? What if my parents get it? What if my children get it? Will I have a severe form of it? How will it impact me? Also, social distancing can make people feel very isolated and lonely. Many of us are working from home. Our students are working at home, and we miss the connections that we have with our friends, with our coworkers, with our colleagues. We miss that, and sometimes that isolation and loneliness can increase our anxiety. Sometimes it brings about, we worry about the health of ourselves, our loved ones, our financial situation right now. What if I lose my job? What if my company closes? What if we all are furloughed? And also the loss of support services that many of us rely on, whether it's a counselor, a therapist, just getting together with friends, meeting for coffee. We don't have that right now. So there is a lot of loneliness, changes in sleep patterns or eating patterns, difficulty concentrating. Many of us, if we struggle with anxiety or depression, that's become worse during this period because we are so isolated and alone. For those of us who are adults, some of us have more difficulty with tobacco and alcohol or even other substances. Next, please. Thank you. Now, I'm a visual person, so I wanted to put in several different pictures here. So on the upper left, you see a parent who's trying to work at her own job while she's also taking care of her own children. And those are challenges that many of us are facing. Some of our students are facing that as well. They're watching younger brothers and sisters because parents are working, or they have other responsibilities. So I think we all kind of can relate to somebody sitting at the kitchen table and everything spread out all over the place. Sometimes when we get very stressed, our minds are just so full of ideas and problems and how we should solve them. It's difficult to think straight. A lot of times we're staring at the ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning because we can't sleep. We're thinking about our problems. Sometimes we don't feel like eating. And the one in the lower right, the picture, many of us feel more emotional. Things that typically don't bother us may make us more upset or angry than it normally would. Next, please. Okay, so how do you know when you're stressed or anxious? And I like simple. So, and I'm a visual person. So using some kind of a scale helps us identify warning signs and implement earlier interventions. So the thing I like about the visual that I have here, the faces, is that it's something that you can use with younger children, older children, even adults, even for yourself. You can just draw 10 faces on a piece of paper. You can see number 1 is smiling, happy, everything's okay. And gradually it changes down to number 10, which is kind of a full-blown anxiety attack. With younger children, you can break it down and just say, okay, tell me, are you feeling like number 1? Are you feeling like number 9 or number 10? And then talk through what's going on. High school students respond to visuals. So I found this very helpful with high school students. Next, please. Okay. Sometimes what anxiety feels like, your heart is racing, you have sweaty hands, you may feel lightheaded. And I put the picture over on the right side because many times when we're stressed, we feel like we have the weight of the world on our shoulders, or we feel like we're balancing so many different things. We're on a ball and it's really hard to keep our balance. And that's really important to do every day, but especially right now. Next, please. Okay, so how can we calm our bodies? One of the things that I found is that when we get stressed, we tend to start breathing very quickly and more shallow, like almost panting. And it's helpful to work on deep breathing. With students, I call it belly breathing. And that's something that a younger student will understand, or a student in high school. With an adult, you could say belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. So you want to concentrate on deep breathing. It gets more oxygen into your system and just helps you calm yourself. I wasn't sure what to call the exercises thing, so I used the term grounding. And what I mean by that is to just kind of connect yourself with something that's happening now. What happens when we get very stressed is we're just thinking about the problem and what could happen. And a lot of times in our mind, it's so much worse than what actually will happen. It's helpful if you just kind of separate from that and ground yourself. So focus on something in the moment. The goal here is to become less reactive and respond more in a calm manner. Next, please. Okay, again, I'm visual, so lots of pictures in this one. Your thoughts impact your emotions and your feelings, which then impact your behaviors, and then your behaviors impact or affect your thoughts. So what you want to do is kind of stop the cycle when you're in a cycle that your anxiety is raising, and you want to kind of rewire your brain. Think about more positive things. Next, please. Okay, so how do we do that? So for example, if you have a student who battles anxiety, when negative thoughts start, you want to catch yourself, stop the thought. Remember that you're in charge of your thoughts and change it. So as an example, if your student were to say to you, I'm going to fail the history test on Monday, and you can kind of see when anxiety is raising. So you help them break that pattern. So you might ask questions like, well, you attended your history class, right? Yes. You've attended all of them? Yes. Have you done the work? Have you done your homework? Have you participated? Yes. Have you studied? If the answer is no, then you could say, well, what do you think you should do this weekend? And students are going to know what they should do. If the answer is yes, you can say, well, you're going to do fine on the test. So picture yourself on Monday just acing the test, going through every question and every answer and just knowing. Next, please. Okay. And I put this up because anxiety is like a small fire. We can either fuel it or contain it. And I was thinking about this yesterday because we've had Santa Ana's this week. And there was a fire that broke out in Rancho San Diego. And so because of the winds and the way everything was swirling, the firefighters jumped on it to contain it. And they were able to do that so no houses were harmed, no one was hurt. So when anxiety starts, it's kind of the same thing. The winds start to swirl, the doubts start to swirl, just like Santa Ana winds. So what you want to do is you want to get in, you want to calm the anxiety, kind of bring out all the troops, and keep it from spreading and getting worse. So I hope that makes sense. Next, please. Kind of a visual plan. So you can ask yourself if you're struggling with anxiety, or ask your student if they're struggling with anxiety in 3 months. So picture 3 months from now. If life was feeling a bit easier, a bit better for you, what would that look like? And who would be part of those changes? So a lot of times I find with high school students, it's their friends, or it's a trusted relative, an aunt, a parent, a grandparent that help them, that they know they can go to. I always use visuals with students. So I draw like is up here, the triangle, and it almost looks like a seesaw where the obstacle could be anything. It could be anxiety, could be stress, could be feeling lonely, frustration, anything. And then you put the supports on the other side. Teachers, grandparents, sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's tutoring, sometimes it's after school activities, which I know we're not doing right now, but people are still there. So students can still reach out to teachers, to coaches, and they will respond. I always want to have more supports than obstacles, because that visualizes for students that there are lots of supports there. And so the supports are stronger than the obstacles. Next, please. Okay, and I realized when I was looking over this morning that I call it a triangle of health, but it's actually a rectangle. So these are all really important in well-being. Eating well, sleeping enough, exercising. These are also the things that we all tend not to do when we're feeling more anxious. And I know right now gyms are closed, so those of us who go to gyms can't do that. But we can still go. We can still be outside. We can still run. We can still ride our bicycle. We can take a walk, go to the park. You can still do these kinds of things. And I find that whenever I talk to students, when they're struggling with anxiety, these are the things that they're not doing. These are the students who will say, when I say, what time do you go to bed? They'll say at 2 o'clock in the morning. And as we talk about that, try to help them realize that they need to get enough sleep so they're able to control their emotions. Same with eating and exercise. Next, please. Thank you. The other big thing right now is that we're all online so often and so much. We think about even this meeting. Normally, we'd be in the theater and we'd be talking in person. None of us would be on our phone. None of us would be on a computer. But we're all online a lot more these days. But it's still very important to keep control of it and to find ways to engage with others in a healthy manner. And next, please. Okay, so just some activities to support yourself during times of stress. Take a break from social media and the news. Sometimes the news is very stressful. So there are times when it's best not to watch for a few days until everyone's anxiety in the house goes down. Again, care for your body through sleep, diet, exercise, meditation, yoga, unwind by engaging in activities you enjoy. And right now, I know there's a lot of things we can't do, but we can still do a lot of things that make us feel better. It might be gardening, it might be cutting the grass, it might be just sitting outside. There are still many things that we can do. Next, please. Okay. So again, a picture. Remember the domino effect. So in the picture, the last domino, if you look closely, is about to fall. So it can fall and create a negative fall and trip everybody in front of it, or it can have a positive effect and turn everyone's focus on healthier, more balanced things. And that's what we want to do. So if you struggle with anxiety, if your student struggles with anxiety, think of things like that. Think of, okay, the domino's falling, I can see it. So I need to focus on more balance and healthier things. Next, please. Okay, some tips to support your students during this time. So try to keep a daily routine or a schedule. I know a lot of our students have a hard time getting up in the morning. I find a visual schedule is very helpful. They can put it in their bedroom, on the refrigerator, whatever they're comfortable with. And so they kind of know, okay, I get up at this time. I get up at 7. I brush my teeth, I take a shower, whatever it is I do. I have breakfast. And then they kind of lay everything out. We all do better when we have routines. You want to set technology limits. Limit your own conversations about things that are stressful to you. And I put COVID-19 here because I think that's on a lot of people's minds. But it's also important to validate your students' feelings and experience, or who is ever struggling with anxiety and stress right now. Continue to work with your students' teachers, reach out, and then use your extended network, family, friends, extended family. Lots of people are around and lots of people want to help. Next, please. Thank you. Don't forget self-care. So self-care isn't being selfish. Taking time for yourself isn't being selfish. I say the same to a student. It's not selfish. There are other things that are important to do as well. I have a picture of somebody drinking a glass of water, somebody exercising, somebody eating. I actually wanted to find a picture of somebody in a bathtub, but I couldn't find one that I thought was appropriate. So these are things that help us all with self-care and are important to do. Next, please. And then find unique ways to de-stress. So I put the one on the right, but the bottom right, somebody vacuuming, because that's what I do when I want to de-stress. For me, there's something about the sound of the vacuum. It kind of drowns out everything else. So if my neighbor is playing his drums, I don't hear him. When I'm finished, I have a product that I'm happy with. My floors look good and it makes me happy. There are some people that, some people find that organizing de-stresses them. So if you look at the top 2 pictures there, you have kind of a messy area, and then the before and the after, where everything's really neat and organized. And if you look at the 2 pictures, one kind of would make me feel stressed and the other would make me feel more comfortable and calm. And then the other thing I put there is some green tea or any kind of an herbal tea, anything that helps you relax and de-stress. Okay, next, please. And then ask for what you need. I put a quote from President Obama here. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you do it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something and to learn something new. And I think that's, I say things like that to students a lot. You know, we all need help sometimes. So ask for help when you need it. Next, please. Thank you. I put several resources here in case there's a need for them. You know, in an emergency, that's what 911 is for. If anyone feels unsafe, if anyone wants to harm themselves and you're concerned about that, there's the National Suicide Prevention Line. There's also National Domestic Violence Hotline, the National sexual assault hotline, the Veterans Crisis Line for those who are who have served our country, and then there's SAMHSA, which is Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, in case there's a need for anything like that. So just a resource. And then next is the last picture. Please, Eric. Thank you. And the last is just that we can do it. Sunrises tend to make us all feel better and relaxed. And the road heading towards the sunlight, you'll notice it does go up and down, but we'll get there. So just little by little. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Walter. That was wonderful, not just for our students, but all of us as adults. I definitely took some mental notes on and agree with a lot of the things in regards to distressing. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're gonna go on with our agenda. I now like to give the floor to our head counselor, Mr. Marco Garcia. He's a head counselor this year and will give us some updates in regards to what's going on in the counseling center. Mr. Garcia.
Good morning. It's Mr. Garcia here. So yeah, I have a few updates. I just want to let you know that as we near the end of the semester, the counseling department continues to support our students and to reach out to them. The first thing that I kind of want to say, generally speaking, is that obviously we are coming to the end of the semester. So this is when a little bit of the tensions start to run high, kind of like Dr. Walters mentioned, the anxiety. So I want to let you guys know that we are providing support to our students. We're providing academic support. This is when students start to realize that their grades may be a little low, grades are coming out soon, and the semester's almost over. So we are encouraging students to communicate with us as counselors, but most importantly, this is the time where we are putting it out there that students need to reach out to their teachers. If there's any assignments, projects that they didn't finish, this is the time for them to finish that. From what I know, teachers are being very flexible. They're showing a lot of grace during this time, during the pandemic. We know things aren't the best, so that's why teachers are being flexible. So just be sure that your student reaches out to their teachers to ask the question, what can I do to finish in the best way possible this semester? We have about 2 weeks left, and in terms of turning in assignments, probably even less than that. So it's important that that communication continues between students and teachers as we near the end of the semester. I don't know if tutoring has been mentioned, but we still have tutoring in the month of December. So if anybody is seeking some help in the areas of math, science, I believe we have some tutoring in the VAPAs as well, in the visual and performing arts. We ask students to please reach out, and there is a link on our websites where students can link in to the tutoring support that we have as we finish the semester as well. A lot of our updates are also for our seniors. Our seniors are working on college applications at this time. So I want to let you guys know, if we have any parents of seniors right now, that that window is still open. Seniors are submitting those college applications. We are doing workshops. We have been doing workshops in the month of November, and we did workshops this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, to support those students that are looking to fill out their UC, CSU application, or to any private or out-of-state universities. So just know that that's happening. Counselors are actively working with our students in supporting that effort. Financial aid. So the FAFSA application is out as well. Financial aid is very important because if students do not fill out the financial aid application, they will not qualify for government money that will help pay for college. And the government does provide money in the forms of Cal Grants, Pell Grants, scholarships, and student loans, but that money will not be released if a student does not fill out that application. That's the FAFSA application. There is a parent component to the FAFSA application, so it's important that parents also support their child in filling out that application in order to receive that government funding and that government aid in terms of college or university admissions. We will continue our workshops in January. So when we return in January for second semester, we will continue at that point with our financial aid workshops, helping students fill out the FAFSA. The FAFSA application can be a little tedious. It's a little long. There's a lot of components to it, and it can get a little confusing at times. So every year, whether we're in person or we're virtual right now, we are providing that help for our seniors in filling out the FAFSA application. So those workshops will start in the month of January as soon as we get back. Students that are looking to go to Southwestern College. So a lot of our students at Sweetwater opt to attend Southwestern College after high school. That window is open already. That window used to open in the spring, but that window is now open for the application. So any student who is I feel that I cut out. Did I cut out? Okay. I was talking about Southwestern College. Did you guys catch that?
Just the first part.
Okay, so I guess that was my computer. I'm sorry about that. Southwestern College, the application is open now. So those students who are looking to apply to Southwestern College can go ahead and do so. San Diego City College, Grossmont, and Mesa, Cuyamaca, those will be open come the spring, come January or February. But students looking to apply to Southwestern College, which is a lot of our students, you can start doing that now. And I believe that takes me to our presenter today. So we have a visitor, Ms. Marta Juarez from the Suhai Foundation. She will present a little more about the Suhai Foundation, what they are offering our students in terms of scholarships.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, great. Oh. Good morning. My name is Marta Juarez. I'm the Executive Director of the Suhai Foundation, and I'm just here to give a very quick announcement. I know a lot of your students have already heard of the Suhai Foundation. We have different programs that we support on campus throughout the years. We've actually been around since 2006 and awarding scholarships since 2007. And I just wanted to share with you that last year for the class of 2020, we awarded $357,000 in scholarships to 61 seniors. And that doesn't even include the scholarship that we award, that's a full cost scholarship to attend the University of Colorado. That was an additional $250,000 worth of scholarships. So a lot of scholarships will be available through us. Our process is not until March. We roll out our scholarship later in the spring, March, and usually do in April. So, you know, what we see is that a lot of students show up for our scholarship and submit their application. And in many cases, they haven't applied to very many other scholarships. So we would like to help support the Counseling Center with this effort. I know that they have counseling support for scholarships and a counselor who specifically supports and finds scholarships available, but we want to help provide additional resources. So we've created a scholarship prep workshop series to really provide additional encouragement, but also the fine details of what they should put together so that they're able to both apply to our scholarship in March, but also be ready for a lot of the other opportunities that come along between now and then. So we have a series of 4 workshops. The first one will be this afternoon, actually, and then we're doing them the next 3 Fridays as well until the end of the semester. And we're going to do a final one, which is actually before they come back to school. It'll be the Friday before school restarts, and that'll be specific to creating a resume. All the other workshops are going to basically help We'll start with a general overview today, and then we'll start helping them build all of the materials that they need to have whenever any scholarship opportunity is available, so that they can very quickly put together their forms and their materials and apply for those opportunities. So next slide, please. Ms. Cuellar Martinez, okay. That's okay. So there was another slide that just focused a little bit more on today's session. So if you have seniors, or even if they're underclassmen and they want to get started on this process early, they can, so they can be ready for their senior year. But they can just go to that short URL, bit.ly /TSF-scholarship-prep1 for today's session this afternoon. That's about it for me. Thank you so much, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Juarez. That's all very valuable information. We appreciate that. And I see the information regarding the workshop, and the module 1 is up on the screen there. So hopefully we have students that can join us. Okay. Next on our agenda, let me bring it up. Just lost it.
We have a center update.
Yes. Our parent center, I see is next on the agenda. So we have some updates from Ms. Martinez, and we also have Mr. Vega, one of our parent leaders who's joined us.
Yeah, good morning, hi parents. Again, my name is Alma Martinez. I'm the community relation facilitator. And let me tell you that next semester we're going to have PICE. PICE is a Parent Institute for Quality Education. So by that, let me present Alex, who will tell you more about PICE.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alejandro Garcia. I am an associate director at PICE San Diego. I'm here to just give you a quick, few-minute overview about what we're hoping to our signature program that we will be bringing to your high school what we're going to be bringing to your school within the next month or so. If you've never heard of PICE, we've been working in San Diego County for close to 32 years now. Our mission is to provide families with the knowledge and skills to partner with schools and communities to ensure that their children achieve their full potential. And so what we would like to do is create this culture of having parents become advocates for their children. So we do this through an 8-week process, beginning with an orientation, with an orientation where you will meet with PICE staff as well as your school administration. You will take 5 core weekly courses or classes that cover different topics, ranging from how to create a supportive learning environment at home, how to collaborate with teachers, counselors, and principals, learn how to navigate the school system, encourage college attendance, from having the terms be part of their vernacular from the very beginning, and support a child's emotional and social development. And so we will be reaching out. We've had, various meetings with Dr. Gavin and the staff there. And we will be having our team of recruiters contacting all parents, inviting them to our sessions. As of the slate right now, we hope to have a morning and an evening session in order to accommodate all parents' schedules. And so we will be reaching out shortly to do that. I will be here for the next few minutes in case there's any questions, anything I can answer. I'm sorry, I have my young daughter who's, I'm trying to teach her, but she's, but I'm here to answer any questions that any of you have, and I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And I hope parents do consider joining us for the workshops through PICE. Like Mr. Garcia said, we have been meeting their team with our team to make sure that we address topics of interest for our parents. And especially during these times, we know it can be very challenging. So we want to be there to support you. And again, hopefully you consider joining us for these workshops. All right. Do we have any announcements from Mr. Vega?
Yes, we do, Ms. Gavin. Thank you. I would like to invite all the parents. We are bringing on our Title I and ELAC meetings, we are bringing the assistant superintendent from our district to talk to us about distance learning. So what we would like to do, we would like to ask all parents, any questions they have, any problem they had with distance learning, even them or their students, I mean, students are the most important things here. Any problems they had, anything, I mean, if it's they cannot connect or what they're gonna do about grades, my kid has a problem with this, he has a problem with that, anything, any questions, any concerns they have, there's gonna be a survey sent. I think there's one already put in, and there's another one coming in. We are gonna have Dr. Señora Alvarez next month on January. On our, we're gonna have a joint meeting for ELAC and Title I. We are gonna have Ms. Alvarez, Assistant Superintendent, talking to us about distance learning. So any question you have, make sure to fill out the survey. Make sure to ask your questions because we wanna make sure she answers every single question we have. So I would like to invite our parents to go into that survey and make sure you guys ask our questions. That was it. Thank you, Ms. Gavin.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. And I just, Alma sent me the link to the survey. So I put it in the chat box. If any of our parents would like to access the survey now, and it's one simple question that you can answer. And like Mr. Vega said, anything that has to do with distance learning. It could be academic related. It could be social emotional related. Again, just anything in regards to distance learning and the situation we're in right now. Okay, again, if everyone can please put themselves on mute because I was getting some back feed. Okay, that's better. All right, so I think that brings us to the end of our agenda items. At this point, this is where I can address any questions you may have. I do have 2 questions that were emailed to me, so I'll address those first. But if any of you have any other questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you can always unmute yourself and ask the question. So one of the questions that was sent to me was if it's necessary or if it's an obligation for parents to contact the school if their student, if their son or daughter has tested positive for COVID, even if they're not attending school. So the answer is no, it's not a requirement, but it is a good idea to still report it to us, and here's why. We would want to make sure that we could provide any assistance or support the student may need, not necessarily health related, although we can try to do that as well, but I'm thinking more of communicating with the teachers and letting them know that due to health reasons, and again, if you give us permission to let the students' teachers know that your student has COVID, or if you just want us to say it's health related, we can, but it's just communicating with our teachers to make sure that they give your student that grace and flexibility, more so because they're sick and not going to be able to either attend class or do some assignments or participate with tests or other forms of assessments. So it's really a good idea that you still let us know so we can communicate with your students' teachers and let them know that they're going to need an extension and more time to submit their assignments. So again, it's not mandated, it's not an obligation. You don't have to report it to the school, especially if they're not physically attending school, but it's still a good idea. And you can either report it to an administrator, a counselor, you know, one of us can help out and we can reach out to the teachers. The other question that was asked is, and I know this is more of a general question that I think all of you might have, or many of you may have, is what happens to students that had good grades? And so we're talking about, you know, let's say they're a junior now and in 10th grade, 9th grade, previous years, they had good grades, but due to distance learning and virtual classes, having to attend classes online, they're not doing well. They're even failing classes. So we're, again, talking about students who didn't struggle so much before, but now they're really struggling and failing classes. What's going to happen to them? When can we have teachers explain to them or give them instruction in person? So as far as all of us going back to school, that we don't know. We have no idea of when that may happen. And as you know, Governor Newsom yesterday, it looks like they're going to put down a mandate to have us all basically stay at home for 3 weeks minimum, could be longer, and more information is coming out. And San Diego is one of the counties that's going to have that mandate where we stay at home. Now, with that said, for example, right now we have a couple of small student cohorts on campus. Not this week, because we had to shut that down for this week because it was soon after Thanksgiving. But we have 2 very small groups with the intent that in January we might be able to bring more groups on campus. Now, this isn't where they're going to receive their instruction from their teachers live in the classroom. They would still participate in distance learning, but they would have their laptops at school, and we would create a safe environment where they could be on campus, supervised, but they would still be connecting to their classes online with teachers. Because again, we're not having teachers or staff on campus to give instruction. They're still doing it from home. And the grand majority of students are still doing it at home. So going back to the original question, what can we do for students that are failing and not doing well? And unfortunately, that's been the case not only with students at Sweetwater, but throughout our district, throughout our state, throughout our nation. We look at data and it shows that unfortunately we have a lot more students getting D's and F's. And there was an interesting article that I shared with our staff last month in our faculty meeting, and it had to do with how it seems like, unfortunately, we're grading students not based on their abilities, but based on the resources they have at home. And I thought that was very evident of what is happening right now, that as much as parents and even as educators, we want to try to provide as much to students as we possibly can for this distance learning to work for them. If we have multiple children at home sharing the same Wi-Fi or hotspot, or they live in a space that's not very big, but they all have to connect online to their classes. I hear stories of some students that, one student's in the dining room, one student's in the bedroom, and other one's in the bathroom, because those are the only quiet spaces they have in their home where they can connect online. And then we have parents that have to go to work, so they're not there to be able to support them. And even if they're physically there, there's a language barrier. My parents didn't speak, read, or write English. So if I were in the situation right now as a student, I wouldn't be able to get support from my parents, not because they didn't want to, they love me very much, but they didn't have the skills. And so there's a reason why our students go to school. It creates a safe environment, where the teacher can work with them, interact with them one-on-one if needed. So right now, the suggestions and advice I'm giving is this, and it's something that I put out on a video for students the last 2 weeks. If any of you go to YouTube, you can search the Red Devils Review. So the weekly Red Devils Review comes out every Monday. And on the Red Devils Review, we have announcements. And the last 2 weeks, I've reminded students, because I've said this before, that they communicate with their teachers, communicate with their counselors, and even their administrators. They can communicate with me, and I've had students email me. I had one student email me a couple of days ago saying, Dr. Gavin, just starting to struggle in some classes. I've been working so hard, trying to do very well, trying to catch up. I'm still struggling. I have some teachers that are giving me a lot of assignments, and sometimes I'm not able to turn them in on time. Well, the reminder I gave students is, if you need an extension, if there's a deadline for an assignment and you can't meet that deadline, email your teacher and ask for more time. All teachers have been asked that they please be gracious and flexible, and they have been. We tell them if a student reaches out to you and says, hey, Dr. Gavin, I'm sorry, I know the deadline for this assignment is Friday, December 4th, but if I can have the weekend to work on it, I can get it to you on Monday. Great. And teachers are saying yes, because for them, it's not about meeting the deadline, it's about learning. So if our students are learning and they're working hard, they're going to give them that extra time. So in the end, the goal is not to meet the deadline. I mean, it can be part of it, right? We all need deadlines, so we, don't take our time trying to get the work done. But if a student needs more time, we will give them more time. Now, they do need to communicate with this teacher, though. They can't just not turn it in on time and then 2 weeks later turn it in. They need to let the teacher know, hey, I know it's due today, I know it's due tomorrow, but is there any way I can get an extension? And then letting them know how much longer do you need? Do you need an extra day, 2 days, 3 days? Be honest. So if you can remind your children to do that. Again, I put it out in messages to students. I put it in the video on the Red Devils Review, but I think they need to hear it more often, because as students email me and I give them that suggestion and tell them to do that, they say, okay, thank you, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm wondering, did you not know? Because, we've been reminding you, but sometimes in the moment, they don't need that advice. It's not until they're stuck and they're in a hard place that they realize, okay, what do I do? And they panic. And like Dr. Walter said in her presentation earlier, we don't want to create any more anxiety. There's a lot of stress going on right now. And part of de-stressing is to communicate, is to ask questions. Kind of like the last slide and the quote from Barack Obama in regards to, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for assistance. That shows courage. It doesn't mean you're weak. It shows that you understand your situation and you're courageous enough to communicate and ask the question. So that's the best advice I can give. Now, if for some reason, either you as a parent or your student reaches out to any one of their teachers and asks for an extension, and either you don't hear back from the teacher, because sometimes emails get lost, and teachers right now are getting so many emails. They really are. They're getting hundreds of emails, and they're trying to keep up with them and trying to keep the communication going with their students and parents. But if you don't hear back, feel free to email either me or one of the assistant principals or a counselor saying, we tried reaching out to my son or daughter's math teacher. We're not hearing back. Here's our question, or here's a problem or concern. We're going to help. But again, make sure that you make that attempt and try to communicate. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat box because I know we're coming close to the end here of our time, and I want to be respectful of our time together. Let me see what questions we have. Okay, so it has to do with attendance. That let's say a student is trying to get into the class, but they're having problems getting in. It might be due to technical issues or something happening, and then they're being marked absent. Or maybe they are in class and somehow the teacher is still marking them absent because they don't see them, or maybe the student didn't do something they were asked to do to show their attendance. So the best thing you can do is first you can reach out to the teacher, especially if the student was in class. You can reach out to the teacher and say, the student can do it or the parent can do it, but it's letting them know, I was in class, but I was marked absent. I was there. Here's proof that I was there. We were talking about this or that, or here's the assignment I turned in that was, done in class. Or if it's that the student cannot get into class due to technical difficulties, they keep getting booted out, or their internet isn't working correctly, because it's happened to us adults as well, is you can contact our attendance tech, Marie. I'm going to put her phone number in the chat box, and she can, sorry, I have difficulties talking and typing at the same time, apparently. So Marie is our attendance tech, and you can call her or email her You know, I can put her email in the chat box as well. You can communicate with her either via email or by phone. And then we have documentation we can use if and when a student has problems getting in due to technical difficulties. It's still an absence, but we would excuse it, and it's a special excused absence. Now, if it happens all the time, then reach out to us, because then we'd like to help to see how we can make sure that they're able to connect online. Maybe we can provide a hotspot. We're providing free hotspots to any families that need them, any of our students who need to get connected. So please make sure you reach out to us, and we'll make sure that we get you that hotspot if that's what's needed. But again, you can communicate with Ms. Nakashima. You can leave her a voicemail if she doesn't pick up the phone, or you can email her and let her know the situation, and she will fix it. I've gotten a lot of compliments from families saying that she's great. She's doing such a great job. Every time they call her or talk to her, she's very understanding, and she understands the problem and then tries to help and support the family. So please make sure you communicate with her if needed. Okay, I see another question. Okay, so the question is that sometimes messages go out to parents. So usually we email and send text messages. We try to do both, but sometimes it's difficult for this individual, the parent, to open them. Do we know why? I'm not sure, and I'm wondering if other parents are having a problem opening them. So I'm wondering if it's an issue from the school or maybe the text message on the phone itself. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if any other parents have problems opening the text messages.
I can find out, Dr. Gavin.
Okay.
I'm not sure if other APs send messages via text. I like to send them to parents. Like this morning, I sent a reminder and the link, just in case if they're on their phone and they wanted to click on it, they could just, pop into the meeting. But it could be like the formatting, because it's an actual website or it's a site. There could be the trouble of switching over from like an actual email to a text message. So let me find out if it's an allowable thing that we can do. If not, then I'll stop sending the actual direct links if it doesn't work that way.
Okay. So one of our parents just wrote something that if you're not registered in, since it is a Jupyter message, that if you're not registered in Jupyter, maybe that's why it's not coming through. I don't know if that's the case, but if you're not registered in Jupyter grades yet, that could be the issue. But if you are registered in Jupyter and you're still having problems opening the text messages, like Ms. Guaya Martinez just said, we'll look into it and see if we're able to troubleshoot it and find a solution. Thank you.
Your update we have is
Okay.
parent safety.
Oops.
Parent safety meeting next week. We want to have parent safety.
I was just
Martinez, you're not muted.
right. I was saying that Miss Cindy, we could hear her on our end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I'm still looking at the chat box to see if any more questions come through, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question. Otherwise, I want to be again respectful of your time. I will stay. So if any of you have a question to ask me, or you're still thinking you want to put it in the chat box, that's fine. So I will stay here. But that concludes our coffee with the principal. I want to wish you all a very safe and hopefully very healthy holiday season. Please stay safe. I know right now everyone's talking about the pandemic fatigue, that we're all pretty tired of staying indoors but it's what's safe, and it's what's hopefully keeping us all healthy, and that's what we want to continue doing. Today is my husband's birthday, and we're having a little birthday party for him, and there'll be 2 people there, him and me. That's it. So it'll be a very intimate little birthday party, but you know what? That's the situation we're in right now, and and we're going to make the best of it. So I wish you all very well. Now, I know even when we go on break, because the last day of school for students online is December 18th, and then they return to school on January 13th. That's a Wednesday. We're going to send you reminders. Don't worry, we'll send you reminders, but their last day of school is December 18th. That's when grades come out. And then they return to school on Wednesday, January 13th. We'll send out reminders. Now, if during that time a question comes up or a concern, please feel free to email me. I'll be on break, but I'll be at home and I'll be checking email, because I always want to make sure that even though we're on break, if there's a concern or a question or any support you may need, please feel free to reach out and I'll do my best to help support you and your children. But otherwise, I wish you all a very happy holiday season, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you back in January. I believe that our next Coffee with the Principal should be on Friday, January 15th. So we'll again send you a reminder and the link to the meeting. So again, I'll hopefully see you again in 2021. So I don't know if this year has gone by fast or slow. I guess it depends on who you talk to or the day it is, right? So wish you all well. I'll stick around if you have any questions, but have a wonderful weekend and wonderful end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gavin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hang in there. We will get through this. We will get through this together. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if you and your family need support. We are here for you. Have a wonderful break. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.